Today I'll be talking about 4 books that I bought recently and that I intend on reading at some point during this year. These books cover the spectrum from mystery thriller to high fantasy. I'm excited about discussing these books, or at least reading the synopsis and letting you know kind of what's coming up for me and for this channel. The first book I bought is called Everfair, and it's by Nisi, Shawl, and I hope that I'm pronouncing her name correctly. And the story is about basically about the country in Africa, the Congo, moving from colonialism to independence, and sort of all of the internal and external forces that are kind of coming to bear as this country moves from basically being owned by another country to becoming its own independent nation. That is a very brief or surface level overview of this book as far as I've read from the synopsis. The cover is gorgeous, and so that's one of the things that I'm happy about. Covers don't necessarily make me buy a book, but if I'm at least somewhat interested in the story, it can really push me to buy the book. I may be a bit of a book hoarder, and I'll admit to that. I love books, as you can probably see behind me. So anyway, so Nisi Shawl, Everfair. If you have this book, can get this book at the library, and you're thinking, hey, I would love to buddy read this with someone, we can coordinate reading this book in the comments below. So very excited. Hopefully I'm pronouncing Miss Shaw's name correctly. By the way, Nisi Shawl. I listened to Miss Shawl, and oh my gosh, the channel is called Onyx Pages, and she did an interview with Miss Shaw, basically talking or describing her process. It was very interesting, very enlightening. Next up is The Children of Blood and Bone by Tomi Adeyemi. Again, I hope I'm pronouncing that name correctly. And you all will, I'm sure, correct me in the comments below if I did not. This book needs very little, if no, introduction. It's just the sensation of this year. I'm excited to read this book. I don't think that I need to tell you what the book is about. So many booktubers have discussed this book. This book has been the topic of discussion across many platforms. I've been a fan of high fantasy for many years. I think I read my first high fantasy book when I was 11 or 12 and just fell completely in love with the genre because it just took my imagination so many places, and it's one of the reasons that I love to read. So this is a bit of a return for me to the genre. I haven't read a great many high fantasy books in the last couple of years because it just seemed like I was seeing same characters, same story. And so this book by Ms. Adeyemi gives me the opportunity to kind of see a different person read a different story in a different context. The story isn't loosely based on sort of the European tropes that we generally get in high fantasy. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but it's just nice to sort of see this genre move into a new continent and tell stories about a new group of people in the same fantastical and magical way. I have high expectations for this book and will certainly, upon my completion, hope to have a lively discussion in the comments about my thoughts about the book, your thoughts about the book. Please don't post any spoilers because I want to read the book without having it spoiled. Next up is an older book, I've Got You Under My Skin by Mary Higgins Clark. I read my first Mary Higgins Clark book many years ago. I'm not even going to give you a number. Many years ago. But remember, I started reading very early. So this book is about a young woman whose husband is murdered, and her son is the only person who sees the murder. And so years later, this same killer starts to threaten the mother and possibly the son. And so it's just, your typical kind of thriller, murder mystery. It's a slim volume, so it'll likely be a very quick read for me. And as you can tell, I bought this book from the library. My local library has a monthly book sale. And so I purchased this book and the next book from that sale. And of course, I'll be going back because, again, book hoarder. So very interested and excited about this book. The last book I bought is Patricia Cornwell's At Risk. I read Miss Cornwell's K. Scarpetta series, or a lot of the books in the K. Scarpetta series years ago. Really enjoyed that character, really enjoyed the world that she built around this forensic investigator who was a lady. At the time, in the 90s-ish, mid to late 90s, that character was breakthrough because it was a lady in this sort of hard-bitten detective genre. So it was very, very entertaining. They were really quick reads for me back then. Now, I didn't read all of the K. Scarpetta series, so I may go back and read those and just kind of discuss them here on the channel because I really enjoyed those books back then. This, of course, is not a K. Scarpetta series. This book is about Winston Grano, who's our protagonist. It takes place in Boston, Massachusetts. He is, Mr. Grano, a investigator for the DA in Massachusetts. He's been sent to North Carolina, I believe, to attend a forensic academy, and he gets called back to Boston to investigate a cold case that took place in North Carolina. Anyway, this book is sort of a mystery mixed in with political thriller. This book will be a quick read for me because it is a very slim volume, so I'll finish this fairly quickly. We'll see what the verdict is on this book upon completion. I really like my local library for many reasons, aesthetically, as well as they have a really nice selection of books. And I like to support my local library, not just by through taxes that we all pay for the local library, but also in things like the book sale. The local library for me is a place where I can go sometimes and just sit and read or just sit and soak in the quiet of the library. Libraries have always been one of my favorite places. Whether, no matter where I've lived, I've really valued having a library as a resource, not just for books if I couldn't afford to purchase the book or just didn't want to purchase the book because I didn't know if I'd like it. Or just as that place where you can go and read and just be in a different environment. It's nice and quiet. They've just been some of my favorite places, whether it's a public library or it's been like the university library. The university I attended had this really great 3-story library. Oh, I loved it because the nooks and crannies that you could find yourself in, and you could just sit down and read and just chill out. A lot of times I was studying, but that's neither here nor there. So, support your local library either by actively checking out books, getting to know the library staff, attending the book sales, what have you. Just go there, use it as a resource, and you can use the local library to check out for free any one of these books so that you don't have to pay for them yourselves if you're not a book hoarder like me and you like to hold on to the physical copy of the book. Okay, book nerds, that's it for books I bought. I look forward to discussing these books in the future. And if you have any thoughts or comments that you'd like to leave in reference to these books, or if you have any suggestions for books that I might enjoy reading, put them in the comments below. Remember, if you like the video, give me a like. If you enjoy the content, subscribe. And if you want to be notified when I'm posting a new video, just ring the notification bell. Thank you so much for watching. See you later.